Good evening, everyone. Welcome to BayPiggies. And this is our first ever, I think, diversity night. We have a great lineup of speakers tonight. And thanks for coming. And usually we have like about 15 minutes where people can eat and socialize. But since we have so many speakers tonight, we'll just get started now. And so our agenda tonight, we're going to have, I'll just give a quick 5-minute intro on BayPiggies in case you are new to BayPiggies. And then we'll start our talks promptly at 7:05, and we have 8 talks. They're all pretty short, though. And then we'll save the questions and answers to the end, and have sort of have all the speakers come up and have a kind of a panel Q&A at the end of the evening. So that's what we're going to do tonight. And my name is Jeff. I'm a co-organizer with Glenn Jarvis. Thank you. So first of all, what is BayPiggies? We're not a group of pork aficionados. We are the Bay Area Python Interest Group, and it's probably one of the oldest Python groups in the country. I think it was started in, apparently the first meeting was in 1999, and Guido, who was the author of Python, was the first speaker, and he's come back many times since then. Anyway, it's been going continuously for a very long time, well before the days of meetup.com and all that. And our meetings are always the fourth Thursday of every month, so that like today, except for November and December, it's on the third week because of the holidays. And typically, some typical topics, they're like beginner's night. This is kind of a beginner's night. We have some nights, like next month will be a data science night, since there's a lot of interest in using Python in data science applications and it's more specialized. We kind of occasionally have nights like that. And we also bring in distinguished speakers. Of course, that's not the only topics we can talk about. So if you have a really interesting topic you'd like to give a talk about, let us know and we'd love to have you. But we're focused on open source and applications for Python. So if it's kind of a talk that's more like a commercial, this is probably not the right group for that because everyone's here kind of on their free time and wanting to learn something. Anyway, everyone's welcome. We want to be a very inclusive group and there's no membership fee or anything. So thanks for coming. And so we have a mailing list because back in the old days before websites, they communicated via mailing lists, and it's using Mailman, which is like this. It was like, wow, this is powered by Python. In 1999, that was a big deal. Now everything is powered by Python. But and we have a mailing list. We have a web page. The web page is pretty spare, and the idea is you can go see what the meetings are, and we have all the links to all the videos of past meetings, as LinkedIn has been recording for us, so we put them up on YouTube. And anyway, and announcements of future meetings and a link to join the mailing list. And of course, we do have a meetup page as well, which is probably how a lot of you found out about it. We also ask if you can RSVP there, then we have a rough idea of how many people are coming. We just take that and divide it by some factor, and we know. And you can, if you have any questions or want to talk, you can contact myself or Glenn. We're happy to talk to you either through email or meetup. Okay, wait, that way. Okay, a quick thing, upcoming talks. So we'll have a data science night next month. And so Sam and Stephen are giving some talks on, because they're really more on data engineering. It should be really interesting. And then Sweden from LinkedIn is giving a talk on December 21st. And I believe he heads up kind of the group building Python infrastructure for LinkedIn. And he's also been very active in kind of supporting us at LinkedIn as a host for BayPiggies. So, and he gave a talk at PyBay and was very well received. And we'll have a beginner's night in January. Okay, so a couple thanks. Thanks to Glenn for getting this night started, to Paula, help recruit some of the speakers. I really appreciate that. And of course, all of our esteemed panel of speakers. We have a lot of speakers tonight. It's great. And LinkedIn, of course, for being such wonderful hosts. So we usually have if anyone has any announcements, like they have a group or some project or looking for a job or offering a job, this is the time to do it now. If anyone has anything. Sure. Thank you.
Is anybody interested in carpooling to the North Bay PyCon in beginning of December? We should all think about that, and if you haven't signed out, check it out, and I'm sure it'll be great. Petaluma. Okay.
So, yeah, I talked to Chris, yeah, and so he said that he couldn't make it tonight, but he wanted to make sure people knew that they're still having the North Bay Python. It's December 2nd and 3rd, which is I think a weekend. It's in Petaluma. It wasn't burned down. They got plenty of things and probably go up and support the economy. So they're selling tickets now again, and they have all the speakers up and everything. So and carpool with Vicky. Yeah. Any other announcements? So this is kind of the list of speakers tonight, and so we'll, like I said, we're going to have a panel Q&A at the end. So we'll try to hold your questions to the end. Although Maria has to go catch a flight, so if you have anything for her, you can grab her right away to go. So if you want to get started, we can. Okay, so you
Can you hear me well? Yeah? My husband died when my son was 2.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I was asking if you could hear me. No? I think they wouldn't hear me. That's better? Oh my goodness, that's going to be challenging. How about, is there a way to raise the volume here? Okay. Yeah. Okay, can you hear me now? Better? Yeah? Okay. Yeah. So I was saying, my husband died when my son was 2. Life was very hard and lonely at first, but I was lucky enough not to have to go back to work immediately. I took time to grieve, to take care of my son, and to do something very meaningful for me at the time, which was writing my love story with my husband. It took me 6 years. And you see the title. I also wanted to preserve the memories because I knew that if I waited until my son could understand, then many of those memories would be lost. Healing is forgetting after all. There is no other way. So while my book was going through its editorial review, I decided to take technical classes. I learned Python through Udacity, and that was in early 2012. And I also revived my electronics through MIT's first edX class. And at the time, well, I also took another artificial intelligence class from Berkeley's edX. And I wasn't thinking of going back to work just yet. I was just trying to see if my brain still worked. And also while volunteering at my son's school and taking care of myself in general. Then in 2013, the following year, I took a class on interactive Python. And I really liked it, really liked it. I thought that unlike what happened in my previous stage, where I had to fight with the language to get to some interesting problem. With Python, that wasn't the case at all. I could just go straight into it, and Python allowed me to tackle a problem algorithmically very easily. At the time, Coursera was also becoming popular. And I remember that I saw in their list of classes that they had one that combined both topics I was interested in. Python and algorithms. And I read in the reviews that the class was enough to pass a technical interview. And another thing I read was that it had a sequel, but you didn't actually need the sequel to pass the interview. So I took the class. It was fun, but it was also hard. And that was really my first step toward going back to engineering. And the next one happened after the summer that year, 2014. I saw an interview preparation series of 8 sessions organized by Women Who Code and hosted by Quora. The format was informal dinner while listening to an intro topic of the day, lists, recursion, whatever it was, and then splitting into groups of by level, easy or hard, and with a maximum of 3 participants that were sent to a room. And there, an interviewer would give us a problem that one of us would solve at the board and the rest on paper. And also on weeks 4 and 8, I think it was 8 weeks, 4 and 8, we had an actual one-on-one mock interview by level. And at that time, you could choose easy, medium, or hard. Like we were more spread, I guess. And coincidentally, when I finished that preparation, a recruiter from Google contacted me. At first, I thought something was wrong because I hadn't sent them or anyone an application. So I was even hesitant to respond because my natural response would have been like, I'm sure you contacted the wrong person. And that was not a good answer. So eventually I did respond, and the recruiter encouraged me to produce a resume that she would help me polish. I did that, and she got me a phone interview. And and then I passed the phone interview, and then I thought things are serious, so I started to be serious myself. So I saw that there was an interview preparation boot camp, and I signed up for that one while waiting for the class. For the second phone screen. And the second phone screen didn't go so well. The interviewer asked me at the beginning what I liked, and I said, I like problems, interesting problems. And he said, okay, let me give you a problem to impress the hiring committee. At that point, I realized I had been too naive. The fact that I liked challenging problems didn't mean that I needed to get one right that moment. So I was given a hard problem, got cold feet, and didn't pass. So I thought, okay, I'll just finish my boot camp since I have started. It was like 7 weeks, really intense, 3 times a week, 6 hours. I finished that, and then I also signed up for the sequel of that class that I told you about because I thought I can now start sending resumes. Why not? I hadn't even started, so now that I'm ready, I finished the boot camp, I started sending resumes, and I signed up for that sequel of the algorithms class from Stanford. Thinking the process would take a long time, but actually within a month, I had secured an on-site without even needing to be phone screened. And I remember driving to the interview that morning thinking, oh my God, I haven't done this in years. And then I told myself, just pretend that you are going to help a friend with a project. And you've warned him that you may have no idea and that you're just going to try. And your friend is okay with that. Your friend is like, sure, you're going to try your best. So I went with that attitude, and actually it worked. So I walked out of the interview with an offer, and it was a good one. And so I started working for IBM Cloud that July of 2015. And you'd think that that's it, I'm settled now. I went back to work, but no. In January of 2016, On the exact 1-year anniversary of my failed phone screen with Google, another Google recruiter called me. And he said he wanted to reconnect. We know what that means. So I told him how much I didn't look forward to go to the process and how little I really, especially going through a phone interview that I now feared. And he was very nice and got me an on-site directly. And I did well, and I've been working for Google Cloud since July of 2016. So tonight, I brought 2 items with me. One is my book, and another one is my work badge, and both are part of me. One is something I really wanted to do and symbolizes the hiatus, like in the title of my presentation. And the other one represents my passion for engineering and my determination to go back to it after so many years away. So, and now it is the end. So thank you very much for listening. I hope this gives some encouragement to some of you, diverse group, who may be doubting to return to work or to make a career move. Thank you. And like Jeff said, I can't stay till the end because I'm catching a flight. So if you have any quick question, I'm glad to respond. Yes.
So are you glad you made the move to Google?
Okay. If I'm glad?
Yes.
Yes.
And repeat the question.
Oh, she was saying whether I'm glad to have made the move to Google, and I'm saying yes. Yes, I'm glad. Anything else? Yes?
How long did you work as an engineer before you took the hiatus?
3 years. 3 years, although only one of those years was as a developer. Before that, it was more like systems engineer. So 2 + 1. Yes?
For those of us who sometimes sit on the other side of the table, is there anything the recruiters and the interviewers did that made you feel more comfortable showing your skills and your drive and passion?
That I said to the recruiter that make the... More confident. For me, it really helps, but this is personal, to do the on-site, because on the phone, I feel that I'm not sure if the person is falling asleep or doing what. Like, I don't have any real feedback, and when I see, I can connect better. But other than personal connection, for me, that is it.
Instead of telephone, how much would that help?
Would I describe, I'm sorry, say again?
This video, Skype.
Yes, would that help? Yeah, it's better, yes, than on the phone. On the phone, you don't have anything to relate to other than the voice, and some interviews are more engaged and some others are less. So maybe somebody can do an awesome job on the phone. It's just harder. But other than that, I think it's just preparing, like going through the questions for technical questions. Yes?
So you mentioned about Coursera and besides the bootcamp, you mainly use online courses to learn?
Very good thing. I have it in my prepared talk and I forgot to mention. So for me, when I decided to send resumes, when I had already the Google interview, so for my last round of preparation, what I did was sign up with an online service that sets you up with somebody who is trying to interview as well, and they match the time. So you choose 3 times and they, the other person too, and then you get matched. And I did that about once a week. Like every week I would get tested, because now I didn't have so much time. I was working full time, so I requested 2 months to prepare for that interview. So I would do a couple of problems a day. I made this like huge planning where I had like a problem or 2 a day and then 1 interview a week. It's called PRAMP. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to, but it's called PRAMP, and it helped me.
What's it called?
PRAMP, practice makes perfect. PRAMP.com. Thank you. Yeah, I had that in my notes. I forgot.
I love your mindset idea of walking into an interview like you're helping out a friend. Was that an idea that you thought of yourself, or
I never thought about it until I was driving there. So when I was driving there, I'm like, I need to stay calm and just pretend something. So yeah, it's my own thing. And that day, I couldn't even prepare for that idea to settle in my brain. No, it was like, I went with that and it worked. Okay, that's it. Thank you very much.
Might help if I turned it in the right direction. Hi, my name is Betsy Waliszewski, and I am with the Python Software Foundation. We're the nonprofit organization that holds the intellectual property for Python. We produce PyCon US, we give out grants, we create volunteer work groups to help with marketing, sponsorship, and choosing PSF fellows. We also provide fiscal sponsorship for direct projects. I'm very happy to have the opportunity to speak to all of you tonight about what the PSF is doing to promote diversity and inclusion in the US and internationally. This is our mission, and this is our diversity statement. The PSF requires a code of conduct for events that we support or sponsor. If a group doesn't have one, we send them links to other codes of conduct so that they can use that as a template. We've recently created a code of conduct work group to ensure that our core values of diversity and safe places are realized and enforced. We remind PyCon presenters to review our code of conduct, especially those from outside the immediate community who might not be aware of our community standards. We're expanding our grants work group to include regional teams that have expertise in specific geographical regions. This year, we increased support in Africa by 13.86%, and the year is not over yet. The first two regions we're thinking of expanding into are Africa and South Asia. The regional work groups will have members from outside the region as well. Potential regional groups that we're thinking about are East Asian Pacific grants, North America, South America, Europe, and Python development grants. We're committed to gender and LGBT inclusion in our own events and the events that we sponsor. We're discussing changes that we can make to our registration forms to allow attendees to self-identify in more categories than we currently do, including race, sexuality, and religion. We're working on increasing inclusion across different language speakers, rather than assuming that everyone speaks English. Diversity in economic status, race, ethnicity, and speakers of other languages is very important. We're working to accommodate different cultures and abilities at events. Am I holding this too close? Is that why I'm echoing? Something echoing?
Yeah, it is too.
Whoop. Sorry. Is that better? Okay. Where do you turn it down? Oop, sure. Okay. Sorry. So hopefully that's better. Can you hear me? No, can't hear me. Okay. I'm turned on. Can you hear it now? Nope, nope. They can't hear me? Did we turn it down too low?
Try speaking.
Can you hear me now? Is that better? Okay, great. Sorry about that. Better?
Let me fix it.
Yes, please. Okay, there we go. All right.
It's towards more.
Wonderful. How's that? All right. Sorry. We're working to accommodate different cultures and abilities at events. The PSF's international support is increasing. We're using social media to promote global Python events, and we've blogged about it. Nigeria and Brazil have shown an explosion in Python events. We've funded 47 events in Nigeria and 19 events in Brazil since 2016. The PSF co-chair, Naomi Cedar, has done presentations with Spanish slides and Portuguese slides. The PSF's communication chair, Lorena Mesa, is working to improve our translation efforts. The next step will be to list all of the community assets that could be translated, prioritize them, and then get a work group started to help with the efforts. For PyCon US, our end goal is to continue improving our community through inclusivity and diversity efforts, as PyCon is well suited to be a leader in driving this. We're responsible for the largest public event in the community, have the highest notoriety for a Python event, and can bring in the most funding to support these efforts directly. Beyond our own work, other international conferences, regional conferences, and local user groups tend to take inspiration from our conference, so we have to set an example. Specifically, we try to be respectful of religious dietary restrictions at PyCon by offering kosher and halal options. We offer subsidized daycare and a mother's room. We also provide closed captioning for our hearing impaired attendees. We're working on offering a PyLadies track at PyCon as well. Something new that we just introduced this week, actually, is called the PyCon Hatchery. The goal is to support our community and to enable them to add events to PyCon that are important. The long-term goals of this program are to support and grow sustainable events that will become a recurring part of PyCon itself, or find a home as a standalone event in the future. We support the efforts of PyLadies to create a formal PyLadies conference. And if anyone is interested in helping with that effort, please join your local PyLadies group. Here's some maps just to show you the extent of the reach of Python in Nigeria and in Brazil. It's pretty amazing. We can do more. If you'd like to help create a more diverse Python community, we encourage you to join the diversity mailing list, and all of these links and resources will be available through my slides on the, will they be on your meetup?
They're on the meetup.
They're on the meetup page now. Great. So what else does the PSF do? Well, in 2016, the PSF gave out nearly $300,000 in grants worldwide, thanks to the revenue generated through PyCon. As of Q3 2017, we've given out nearly $222,000 to over 140 events in 45 countries. And we anticipate beating our 2016 total by the end of this year. We organize and host PyCon US. This year's event brought together 3,389 attendees from 41 countries. Our sponsors' support enabled us to provide financial assistance of $89,000 to 194 attendees. We celebrate Python contributors with quarterly community service awards that honor individuals who support our mission. And anyone is free to nominate someone that you think is worthy of this award. We hope to expand our recently implemented trial Python Ambassador program in South America to other countries next year. This program provides funding for a dedicated Pythonista to travel locally to perform Python outreach. We also provide fiscal sponsorship support. This means that the PSF collects targeted donations and reimburses expenses on that project's behalf. And we're currently supporting 11 projects through our fiscal sponsorship program. We support Python programmers worldwide by funding sprints and workshops that enable people to work on Python-related projects that advance the mission of the PSF. So the last thing I'd like to talk about is membership. Being a member of the PSF is vital to the health of Python. Our community is what makes Python what it is. And you know that because you're all members of this community. You can contribute fiscally and help guide the PSF with your vote. You can contribute by organizing sprints, meetups, and community events. More information about membership is on a flyer that I put over by the food over there. So there's a link there to join. We just actually wrapped up a donation and membership drive, and we were able to sign up 975 new members. Some were supporting members, which is an annual fee. Basic membership is free. So you can just sign up and support Python by being a basic member. I want to thank you for sharing your meeting time with me. So as I said, Jeff has the slides and has them posted on our meetup page, and they include a lot of links to resources and email addresses for more information.
Hello? Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll just use the. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk to you tonight. Thank you to BayPiggies. Thank you to Jeff and Glenn for organizing this tonight. There's lots of stuff going on in Silicon Valley and in the tech community, and this is a little bright spot with all the stuff that's going on. So a little bit about me. I have been a software developer for 17 years. I'm a principal engineer at a startup in San Francisco. One of the reasons why the concept of making people feel welcome in tech is important to me, and I say people because it's not just women versus men, it's just making anybody who's new or established, making them feel welcome at your events. And so we talk about, you know, some of the strategies, and I'm going to give you some of the experiences I've had, and maybe that will be helpful to you in making people feel welcome at your events. So I'm an engineer, and my path was a little bit, had a detour because I myself was made to feel unwelcome from a young age. I wanted to be a computer scientist since I was very little, and I unfortunately had the experience in high school where I was the only female in a class, in my computer science class, and I was made to feel unwelcome. So I chose another career for a long period of time. I eventually came back to it, and I'm here today. And I'll also tell you that it wasn't, both men and women can make you feel unwelcome. So it's not just that teacher was female. So not everybody who is, it's not a men versus women thing, but people can make you feel unwelcome. I also am a triathlete, and I just completed my 15th triathlon. I do but I don't necessarily look like somebody who does a triathlon. Maybe I don't look like an engineer. I also play pickup soccer. And like in tech, when you go to pick up soccer in the Bay Area and the Peninsula and South Bay, I'm one of the few women on the field. Out of maybe 15 to 30 people, I will be the only woman or maybe one of two. So I have lots of experiences about being on the outside and seeing what works with people and how people welcome other people, not just welcome women who might show up, but how they welcome each other. So I want to share a story with you. You had me at hello. I was very excited, and this happened actually within this past year or two. I was invited to an engineering event at a prestigious company in Silicon Valley, and I was super excited. I'm like, yeah, I got invited to that thing. I was walking in the door, and I am walking up to the registration desk. There's folks coming in behind me, and the person at the registration desk, it was as if I was wearing a Harry Potter invisibility cloak. Their eyes glided over me to look at the gentleman coming in behind me and said, "Are you here for the event?" So it was just a registration desk person, but they had the opportunity to make me feel welcome or not welcome. I was in front of the gentlemen who were coming in, but I wasn't asked first. So now I have these thoughts in my mind. Was it because I was wearing a pink jacket? Was it because I looked female? What made that person decide that I didn't look like I was an engineer coming to their engineering event? So this is an opportunity for you to, if your company's having an event, to say no matter who comes in, they could be an engineer, treat them like they're an engineer. Because even if the people at that organization who had intentionally invited me and asked me to come, they're spending a lot of effort to bring me there. If the person who's meeting you at the door makes you feel unwelcome, it makes you think, oh, if I join that organization, am I going to be invisible because I look female, or I might wear a pink jacket, or what is it? And maybe it didn't have to do with any of that, but it sets the stage for how you feel about that organization. So this is one of the quotes I like, "Vision is the art of seeing things invisible," by Jonathan Swift. And this is part of understanding that what somebody looks on the outside may not reflect what value they're going to have to you as a colleague, someone you can network with as an employee. Maybe they don't look to you what you think like a sysadmin or a DevOps person or a Linux engineer or a senior engineer looks like, but just look beyond the surface of someone. So this next thing in terms of making feel welcome, and this has happened to me, and I go to lots of different kinds of events. I go to meetups, and BayPiggies is awesome, and I go to women in fill-in-the-blank events, women in big data and different events, and this kind of thing happens a lot of times. And I've talked to other people, and I'm like, does that happen to you? And they're like, yeah, that happens to me too. So I go to the event, and I have talked to people about it, and there will be, I'll give you one example. I'm at a Women in Big Data event. There's a vendor giving a talk to the people who are there. There's mostly women, and it's an event where they say allies are welcome. And ally means, if you're not familiar with it, just means like you are not the thing that is the like women in whatever. You don't identify as a woman. And so the vendor is there and talking to the women who were there, and there were some guys, and the vendor is giving a talk about their software to the two guys who are here and here, and there are about 15 other women who are like, I would like to, and it happens with recruiters, it happens with vendors, it happens in other circumstances. Whoever is representing your company, have them use the vision that an engineer doesn't necessarily look like what you think they look like, and just make eye contact with the other people who are there and engage them in the conversation. They are there to learn about you. You don't know if they're a CTO, a VPE, you don't know if they're a beginner or not, and just engage with them. They're there to learn from you, and they're trying to learn about your software. Talk about the tech. So I get invited to different events, and I sign up for different events. And sometimes women in tech events, they don't talk about the engineering. If I go to a technical talk at and I see some nods, if I go to a technical talk at your organization, I actually want to know about the engineering. I mean, what life is like generally, maybe that you don't make people stay there till midnight every night, that is important. However, on a day-to-day basis, I'm an engineer. I want to know what your deployments are like. How do you manage code dependencies? How you do releases? How is your quality management system work? What kinds of testing do you do? I want to know about the engineering. So if you bring people into your organization and you want to make them feel welcome, treat them as respected engineers. Don't just talk about, oh, we have a good life, and talk to us as engineers. The other way that I can encourage you to make people feel welcome is if you are an ally and attend a fill in the blank event, women in or whatever in, and be cognizant of, be aware of that the people next to you who are trying to network and learn and have an opportunity where they are not the 1 in 15 or 1 in 30 on the soccer field or on the technical field. Don't be the only one answering the questions. Be aware that there might be people trying to ask the questions too. I've been to certain events and guys would stand up, and again, this is not a male-female thing, but it was at this event, and they would stand up and ask the questions. There are quite a number of other talks that you can go to and ask questions. This is an opportunity where people are trying to connect. Just share the airspace. Let other people ask questions. And the same thing goes in terms of being gracious. And again, I'm not talking to the folks here tonight are here because you're interested in diversity and inclusion, but some of the things that I'm saying to you, you can be aware of if you're not already, about how people might feel unwelcome at some of these things, and just to be aware of them. So that this be gracious means after the speaker is done speaking and people are huddled around that speaker, they want to network and make contact and say how much I enjoyed your talk and learn the thing. Be gracious. The person next to you might be a newbie who also wants to learn. Look to your left and right and step back to increase the circle size. I've seen people be so eager to advance their own, contact with that person. They're not being sensitive to the other people who are also trying to connect and learn. And so celebrate the learners. As we all know, in tech, things have changed so much in the past couple of years. There's different kinds of services, there's new languages in addition to Python, and Go and Elixir and all the things, different technologies, different way we bundle JavaScript in different ways, different deployments, different cloud services, all these things. When somebody is coming to your event, celebrate, if maybe they're not, you know, what you think is a 4-year CS degree plus XX experience. People who are going to succeed in your organization are the ones who are ongoing learners. And if they're coming to your event, they are trying to learn. If they're coming to just be open to the people who are trying to learn, because those people are going to be valuable to your organization. And then this one, be a team player. This is actually in your organization. When you bring in people of different stripes to your organization, be a team player. Give them the opportunity to participate in engineering discussions, even if you think they are not at that senior level. Bring them in and share opportunities for growth, share information, share the dialogues that you're having with them. And the other way to make people feel welcome, I'm a firm believer in verbal and actual high fives in your organization. It's when you are one of 15 or one of 30 in an organization, you may feel more sensitive about, you know, your victories. Take the time and celebrate the wins. I want to thank BayPiggies for organizing this tonight. Hopefully I've given you little tips, and these are not just my experiences, but other experiences of people that other experiences from people that I've talked to. I think that the Python community has always been really great. And thank you to Jeff and Glenn for organizing this night tonight. And I also want to thank the mentors I've had, both male and female, and the colleagues I've had, male and female, who have supported me throughout the career. And I think the Python community in particular has been great. Many aspects of it, including the Python testing community. So thank you. It's my Twitter/GitHub information and LinkedIn. If you have any questions or want to reach out, I'd love to connect and have conversations. I take every opportunity I have, from like people who are just interested in becoming developers to senior folks and how they can elevate their career, or if they need encouragement or advice. I'm happy to be there. So thank you, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to talk tonight.
Better now? So a lot of interesting talks tonight so far. I love to hear from Karen. As she was speaking, I had so many cases and, you know, so many examples that came to my mind. And well, that's actually my talk tonight. But I decided to, just as add a little bit of a fun fact about me to get started. So I actually, now I work with data science, but I didn't used to work with data science. I have always worked with engineering, even though my background is actually more like science, but I always work with engineering. But I guess nobody here would guess what kind of engineering I was doing. I was actually working with mining, and I'm not talking data mining, I'm talking rock mining with explosives and heavy equipment, and I absolutely love it. I love it, I had fun, but I definitely don't look like, I never had to dress like this, you know, it was always a hard hat and safety boots and everything. But the thing is, the point I wanted to make was actually, sure, there are a lot of issues within the software world, you know, but it's not easy for sure. I'm glad I'm not working with mining anymore. And of course, if you compare, you know, the ratio is way different compared to software. But I think for one reason, we are better at software because we are talking about it. We are bringing these things up. People are feeling more empowered to speak up. And I think that is actually spreading and is only bringing good things about it. So I think even this week, I was hearing something, you know, a completely different industry, not software at all. And people are talking about this more now. So I think we are actually making change here. So back to my talk. So I am Paula Alves, and I've been you know, coding Python for just about 4 years now. And Jeff wanted to make this, Jeff and Glenn wanted to make this night, you know, focus on beginners. Python beginners can be someone completely complete beginner with you know, programming or software in general, or it can also be someone who comes from a Java or C++ background and starting to learn Python. So actually, this presentation applies to actually everybody, but my focus is going to be on the beginners. And that's what I'm going to talk about. I'm just going to mention real quick a misconception I had about open source software contribution. And then I'm going to cover why you want to contribute to open source software and how to do it real quick. So my biggest misconception was, and I really regret that, well, I really need to be at least a little good with Python before I can make any meaningful contribution to any project. And that's bogus. It's not true at all. And here are the several reasons why. So there are many ways that you can actually contribute to open source software. You can do things like organizing. You don't even need to know how to code in that case. You can organize. There are several different ways to organize. You know, we were talking, Betsy was talking about the Python Software Foundation itself. You know, you can organize events. You can organize community nights. You can organize meetups. You can actually, if you want to work on GitHub, you can, if the project, whatever project you love is hosted on GitHub, you can actually help organize the repository, for example. You can, if you have design skills, you can actually improve the layout, the user research, create a style guide. Actually, I compile these ideas from information from the internet, but it's also my own experience. So writing is a big part of open source software contribution. Actually, projects don't get traction if they don't get good documentation and extensive documentation. So you're going to really be a hero by working on the documentation. And that's a job that's not you know, as valued as contributing code. The real heroes. And writing is not just documentation. You can write tutorials, you can write guides, you know, you can write blogs. And if you also want to contribute to code, of course, there are also different ways to do that. You can contribute to with new features. You can come up with some feature you'd like to see, and you can actually work on that yourself. You can, of course, work on bug fixes. You can help others. You can just help others reviewing their code as well. So why should you care? Well, there are a lot of good reasons. and I can attest to that. Improve your coding skills. You learn, especially even more like if you contribute to some more mature project. These projects tend to be very well organized. Not always, of course, but they tend to be. And, so they have strict guidelines and you have to follow. So your code quality is going to improve a lot. You're going to learn a lot about software development in general, you know, tests, continuous integration, Git itself. Also, you can find mentors. You can teach other people, which I think is something very rewarding by itself. Basically, I think that's a biggest advantage here. It's almost like you get a free personal guidance on how to write good code. So basically, if you're a beginner and you just know some Python syntax and you learn the basic data structures, you're familiar with the Python data structures, and then you can actually, get people helping you. Of course, that's highly dependent on the project. Some projects are more active than others. Also, appreciation is a big one. It's really cool to feel you're part of a community with people that share the same interests, like everybody here, right? And also, grow your reputation and even make a career out of it. So many opportunities out of that. So don't just take my word for it. If you want to, go ahead. There's so many resources online, of course. And I put 4 here. I just handpicked 4, completely different from each other. The first one is, of course, GitHub as an organization. They have a big interest to host open source projects. And by the way, this actual presentation, the link to the presentation is at the Meetup website. So if you guys go there, you can actually have access to the links as well. So the open source guide, GitHub put together a very nice open source guide, very comprehensive and really nice, well organized. This blog is just some guy recently, earlier this year, he wrote about unconventional way of learning a new language. And as you can imagine, by unconventional, he means, I'm a total newbie and I'm going to give him a try with some open source project. And he did that. He learned Go that way. He learned Perl that way. He actually kind of talks about his experience and how valuable that was for his job also. Outreach program. This is a really awesome program. If people here are probably familiar with Google Summer of Code, basically Outreach is Google Code of Summer for everybody. Like, they focus on minorities, but you don't need to be a college student. Write Speak Code is an organization, as you can get from the name. It helps you write more, speak more, and contribute to your code to open source projects. So I put a link of the Slack channel over there. And so now let's go to the how do I get started. And I'm glad you asked it. I have a quick demo, and as a quick demo, suppose you want to contribute to one of Python's most popular libraries, or maybe the most popular library. Anyone guess which one is? Which one? Okay, I'll give a hint. According to Stack Overflow. So let's get out of here real quick. And so everybody, let me meet Pandas, to this Pandas. The Pandas dev page on GitHub. So basically, what you do, you just go here and you see these issues. Look at that number, ridiculous number, over 2,000 issues. Look at the number of pull requests compared to the number of issues. I guarantee you're going to find something there that you can help. So, so if you go there, how do you do that? So, well, 2,000 is overwhelming, but there are ways you can make it easier, right? So how do? You actually go here to make your life easier. There are labels, the nice people, the volunteers there, the people organizing the GitHub repo. They actually come up with these labels, and you can actually choose your labels. So if you want to give like by difficulty, for example, oops, I screwed up. There is like difficulty level, there is kind of a problem, then you can work on effort, high, low, medium. Don't actually trust too much on that. So let's say this one, and this is like a documentation issue. So you just, what do you do? Okay, I choose this one, let me take a look. And then you take a look here and you read the description and, you talk with these nice people. And basically for you to just contribute, well, I have to sign up, unfortunately it's not my computer. But basically just go here and put a comment and say, hey, I want to work on this. And that's all it is. Someone's going to say, okay, go for it. And that's it, it's yours. So then what do you do? Well, and then you have really, of course, the very first page, you have the README, but in reality, you have to go to the pandas documentation, and there is a session there, very extensive in terms of detail how to set up your environment. So you have to set up your environment. Once you do that, you're ready to go. And then you actually basically have to go and try to find the file that relates, the specific file that relates to where you have to make the changes. If you have no clue, there is a Gitter. So you just go to the Gitter, it's a communication tool. You ask people, please, please, please help me. I have no clue, I have no idea. And people are going to help you, and that's how you get started. If you want to contribute to code, the only two things that I would consider, as I mentioned earlier, know some of at least the Python syntax, the basic syntax, and the data structures, Python data structures. Also very helpful, especially if you're working on GitHub, to know Git. You don't need to be a Git ninja. It's really hard to be a Git ninja. But you can actually just learn the basics, and people are going to help you out, and you're actually going to become a Git ninja and a Python ninja after. I don't like ninja, actually, but just to illustrate. So going back here now, let's see. Well, it's funny I say that because my GitHub name is GeoNinja. So yeah, I'm not being. They do. The question was whether they have a contributors link here on the pandas page. Oh, so sorry. Don't move this, Paula. Let's see. They have a lot of information. So somewhere here. Yeah. Oops. Yeah, that's the Gitter I was talking about here. And this is what I was talking about, the contributing guide. That's the one. It's really a detailed overview of how to contribute and how to set up your environment. So, okay, going back, let's see here. So the last thing I want to say is, okay, that was pandas, but what if you want to work on something else? That's fine, of course. So this link here, which is actually a specific location of the GitHub documentation there, it has a lot of links on, on this subject, how to find a project to contribute. And actually there are some groups there that if you click there, you browse and they can take a look. Some of them are really specifically focused on helping complete beginners get started. So it's really cool. So if you want to start really, really small, there are people there that are helping you do that too. And as I mentioned, Git is going to be helpful. So of course, there are a lot of resources on the internet. I just put a link here of a set of videos that I really like. And as a final tip, if you're able to attend, participate in PyCon, which is Python's biggest conference that Betsy mentioned. Oh, it's going to be in Cleveland, 2018. I think it's going to be sometime in May. Registrations are open, cover papers also open, financial aid, exactly, for everybody. So if you can, by all means, after the conference, they have a code sprints. And last year was the first time I participated in the code sprints. And I absolutely love it. A friend of mine who happens to be here, he actually influenced me. He said, oh no, the code sprints are the best part of PyCon. And I agree. Actually, I really enjoy the opportunity to really get even closer to the people who share this interest with you, same interest. So of course, that includes a few extra nights of hotel and stuff, but it's definitely worth it. So that's all I had for tonight. Thank you.
Works? Yeah. Ooh, cool. All right, so that's the title of my presentation. My name is Marilenis Lee, and that's my Twitter account right here. So I'm from Venezuela, South America. So what I want to do is basically talk about the different issues women face in technology when you're from another country, when you're a mom, etc. Different things. So this is what I do right now. I'm actually a mom, housewife. I volunteer at my son's school. Those are my degrees. I collected them, and I'm not doing anything with them. And I'm teaching right now. I'm at adjunct faculty. I teach web development and Python. Okay? So this is all part-time. I mean, I'm a full-time mom. And then everything else is just, doesn't matter. Yeah. But then sometimes I have to grade 60 projects on a weekend. So this is, I want to give you a little overview of where I'm coming from so you understand how challenging it is when you get here. So I was born there. That's a tiny peninsula in South America. That's the northeast point of South America, 27 kilometers from Aruba. So you can actually swim from where I was born, to Aruba. Pretty nice, right? So Aruba is this big, my town is this big. So 270,000 people. And the reason it exists is because it has the world's largest oil refinery complex. So it has two pretty large refineries. My dad and mom didn't go to school. Dad worked at the refinery for 35 years. So, and he raised 3 engineers. I mean, no, 2 engineers and 1 doctor. My sister is a vet, so she's a teacher too. And then I went to Caracas, big city. I had never been out of the house by myself, never took a bus. My mom drove me everywhere. I didn't know how to cook. So they said you have to be an engineer. I applied for the school. I got into it because I was really good at math. So I passed the exam, and I got there, and I had to take a bus to go to school. So that was pretty hard. No, seriously. Caracas is, you from Brazil? Yes. Okay, Caracas is like New York, right? So I have to step out of the house and take a bus. So I was like, I don't get raped or anything or robbed or something. But so, and then from there, I became an engineer. I really liked computer graphics, and I worked on it. And when I became an engineer, I graduated. I had jobs. I went back to school. I got my master's degree. I worked with this really super person that was like my hero. But through all this, I experienced what every woman experiences, mansplaining, imposter syndrome, and sexual harassment, which is pretty common in our countries, right? You call it here catcallers? Yeah, that's like, ew. So I was pretty brave. I would walk the streets of Caracas, and if someone whistled at me, I would get so mad. I would just like, you rare. They were like, okay, take it easy. And I'm like, no, you don't do that. I would get so like, It wasn't good because I could, could be killed, but I didn't care. I just did it. And then through this passion, I discovered SIGGRAPH, which is, you guys probably know about it. It's the largest conference in computer graphics. It's 20 to 50K attendees per year. That's pretty big. So I'm working in Venezuela. I had just through 3 years after I graduated from college. And a friend of mine tells me, have you ever been to SIGGRAPH? I'm coding computer graphics and stuff. And I'm like, no, what is that? Oh, he starts talking about it. And I'm like, okay, I gotta go. How do I get in? He tells me all the information. I signed up for it. I had never been to the US. I took a flight to Orlando. When I get to Orlando, I take a cab to the hotel. My hotel had been canceled. I'm like, okay. So it's so bad in Venezuela. You guys know right now, it's pretty bad. So it was bad before too. For some reason, I didn't have a credit card. My credit card didn't work, so I had cash. Okay, so I'm like, okay, someone has to help me. So I go to the conference, and I get there and I register or I get my paperwork, and just out of luck, behind the counter, there is this guy speaking Spanish, and I'm like, hey, can you help me? And he's like, sure. So he starts speaking Spanish. He's like, oh, there's a big crew from Venezuela here. The big crew is from the oil industry. They have money. They can pay to go. They'll probably be able to help you. I can help you, whatever. So I don't know how I got the hotel, but I got a hotel. And then this is how it all started. So I went there first time, 1995, and I became a volunteer right there. I was so excited. You can imagine someone who doesn't speak English that well. I speak better right now. And I'm like, this is so cool. I mean, there were 40,000 people. At that 1995, there was a cave. I don't know if you guys ever seen a cave. A cave is a big dome where they project stuff. It's like a virtual reality installation, right? There was a cave, and I'm like, oh my God, what is this? So coming from this town, and I'm like, I was so like crazy. Well, the woman who called it the cave is from Venezuela. So I got lucky again, right? So I got to meet her, and we speak Spanish, and I'm all like, oh, I got to do this. I got to become a volunteer. So I did. So I got in touch with her. She became kind of my mentor. And I signed up to be I didn't sign up. I applied to become a student volunteer. That's in the next one. Yeah, applied to become a student volunteer. I started in 1996. And I was a volunteer for many years. And then out of all this work, there was 1 year, so how many years are there? 1995, 2000, 6 years. One of the years I was living in Venezuela, and then I was teaching computer graphics, and I tell my students about SIGGRAPH, and then they get all excited. So I start bringing students. So I bring like 7 students first, then I bring 10, then I bring 50. So 50 means like there's a lot of people from Venezuela, like you can see them, right? They didn't speak Spanish very well, but we were there, so helping out as student volunteers. So that led to me becoming the chair of the International Relations Committee, which was pretty big for me, for anyone. And 2 years of preparations, a lot of traveling. I moved to the US to get another degree. And one of the things I experienced there was sexual harassment. It was pretty bad by one of the committee members, another guy that was working with me. It was so bad that I had to, the year of the conference, I had to have a bodyguard with me. Yeah, so there was a police report, everything. It was like, whatever. But I mean, it's been a long time, but it was pretty bad. So I almost dropped out, or I could have made him drop out, but I didn't because I was nice. But I could have. I should have. So this is like kind of the title of my presentation is about victories and struggles. It's for me, this is a pretty big thing, which led to me moving to the U.S. So these are my tips for success, which is, did I skip one? No. Yeah, so don't be afraid to ask for help. So follow your passion and be bold. Like this is pretty bold, right? This color, so we are both pretty bold. But no, what I say here is like, if you want to do something, really like, I grabbed this woman from Venezuela who made a cave, and I just like say hello every day. I emailed her when I got back from Venezuela. I'm like, I want to be in the committee. I want to be a student volunteer. And she started like, replying. And she was good. Follow your passion. I like computer graphics, so that led me to move here and be bold. Yeah, just go for it. I didn't speak English very well. I mean, I didn't. So I just like, I'm going to go. I don't know. So came here. And then here, again, I was so naive. I didn't know. I thought everything was going to be beautiful, butterflies and San Francisco and everything, but yeah, it's pretty hard. Again, this was pretty bad. Like my classmates mocking me, I didn't like that. That felt pretty bad, but I was like, I thought I was supposed to, that was supposed to be the way to be. I mean, that is supposed to be that way. I'm like, I can't do anything about it. Now I know I could, but I didn't know then, right? But 2001, 1999.
I have news for you. It's 2017. I have been here 40 years. I have my funny accent. I still get mocked for it. That's okay. I like it.
Yeah, when you just get here and you think everything is gonna be pretty, it's pretty. No, but no, yeah, me too. I mean, yeah. So in this part here, I really, really wanted to do art and technology, mix those two, and I got to do that in the master's. I was really passionate about Adobe Flash at that time, if you guys remember. I like to make animations and create interactive things. And I talked to my professor, my advisor, and I was so excited. Oh, man, I really, really want to have an internship. And he's like, where do you want to go? I say, Macromedia. Be bold, right? I want to go to Macromedia. They make Flash, and I like Flash. And he's like, okay, Macromedia. I have a friend there. I'm like, you do? He's like, yeah, I'm going to put you in touch. She's going to give you an internship, whatever. That's no-brainer. And it happened. And I show up to Macromedia when to meet this person. She became my mentor and had coffee. My English was pretty bad, all that stuff. But then I sat there with the engineers and I did it. And it takes a lot of courage to do that. And I'm reflecting on this right now, but I didn't feel that it was a big deal when I did it. I wasn't afraid, maybe because I was young or younger. Then I graduated. And then what happened when I graduated, it was 2001. The dot-com crash. I graduated in June, and I called my friend from Macromedia. She had promised me a job. She was my mentor, and I called her. I graduated. You need to come to see my project. She came. We talked. She's like, I'm going to get you a job. It's going to be good. I called her a month later. She was laid off. She's like, well, I just got laid off. What? No, you're my only hope. I don't know anyone here. She's like, get your job. Don't worry about it. I'm going to get a job. You're going to get a job. Okay? Okay, you do it. You go and get a job. So I sent her. And then when she gets a job, so she gets a job at Leapfrog. She had a lead. She gets a job. She becomes the director of the developer studio was called. So she's the director of all the developers. She's like, I'm going to get you hired. There's no way. So we go back and forth. I go to interviews. First interview I had was for a production job. The guy said I was too artistic. Then I go for a technical job. The guy said I was overqualified. And I was like, okay. So, and she's like, you know what? She's overqualified, but you're hiring her because I'm telling you. So they hired me, and I was on a practical training thing, so I didn't need a visa. But then a year later, I needed a visa. And what happened in September of 2001? 9/11. So it was like bad. But they got me the H-1B. I was getting paid really, really little, just a little bit. But I was here, and I was determined because in Venezuela, Chavez was already there, and my brother had lost his job everyone was losing their jobs, and my dad was like, "You're not coming back here. You can't. There's no way. There's no future for you. You have to stay. Do whatever you can. You stay." I said, "Okay, I'll stay." Okay. So I stayed. I paid $80,000 to get a waiver on my visa to stay here, to be able to go from a student visa. I had to solve all these issues, but it cost me $80,000. How did I make that money? I don't know. I got credit cards, 0%. I went to the bank and said, like, "Can you give me 10,000? Sure. 10,000. I got 10. I got 50. And then I made, and then I repay it. But I wish I had those 80,000 right now. Yeah. But then the best thing happened, right? I get laid off, of course. So Leapfrog is really good. I think I was the 150th employee. 3 years later, they go public. We were 1,500 people. And they right when they got public, there was a problem with the shelving at Toys R Us. And they laid off a bunch of people because of that. The toys didn't arrive on time because of customs for Christmas. They didn't make any money, or they didn't make enough, the money they had to make. So we got laid off. And I'm like, what is this? I didn't know, right? I don't know what a laid off is. I've never been laid off. I don't know what being fired is. I don't know. But yeah, this is exactly like that, right? I sat there, like, so today's your last job. I'm like, what? For what? What are you talking about? So I start crying. Someone sees me crying in the office. I'm like crying, picking up stuff. This guy who was a lawyer, it's all luck. So he's a lawyer, and he's like, what happened? I just said, I don't know, I don't have a job. It's just, I gotta go back to Venezuela. I don't know what to do. And he's like, no, you're not going back. I'm gonna get you a job. I'm like, no, you can't. You're a lawyer. And he's like, come to my office. So I go with him, and he's like, here it is, you called HR. Who is the lawyer for the company? So-and-so. He picks up the phone, calls the guy. How do I transfer this visa? The guy said, you need $10,000. Okay, I got it. What do I do? You need to have a company to hire her. And then he picks up the other phone, calls his friend, his best friend. Hey, you need to hire my friend. What? Yeah, she has to go back to Venezuela. She can't go back. She's pretty good. But it was a one-person company, right? She had registered a company. So it happened. I was working for a company. So we worked together. I worked with her for a while. She had the transfer, and she will call me every month. Do you get a job yet? Because I'm afraid I'm going to go to jail. She was so afraid. I'm like, I almost have a job at Stanford. It took them like 4 months to hire me. Again, someone I met at SIGGRAPH got me a job through a friend of a friend, at Stanford. Again, I asked her, I called her every day, I need a job, I'm gonna have to go back to Venezuela, blah, blah, blah. So she made it happen. I mean, she didn't make it happen. I had to go to interviews, etc. But it happened. And I was pretty happy. Again, I get hired there. Very little salary. I'm already been here for so many years. I'm in debt. Okay, but I have a job. I don't have to go back to Venezuela. Well, Stanford was pretty good at racial discrimination. It's pretty big. Yeah, mansplaining, stereotyping. My manager always took credit for my work. And it was a woman. It wasn't even a man. And then told that, and it was pretty bad, but I had to do it because it was really hard to get a visa transfer. And then, again, those are the tips. Don't be afraid to ask for help. I kept asking my friends, get me a visa. I don't want to go back. Get me a job. Get me a this. Because I couldn't do it by myself. I didn't know anyone. I mean, I just knew like 3 people. And, so nothing is impossible. Honestly, I prayed a lot. I went to church like every Sunday. Please. And then I kept trying. And the Stanford job was really good, except that it had all that social thing going on. And then I got married. This is my son. He's 6.5. And he keeps me pretty busy. Since I don't have any family here, I decided to stay at home. And because when we did the math, by the time I get a job and I pay the nanny and the cleaner and the cook And whomever, I mean, all that bunch of people and parking and commute and pay for food, then my husband's like, I think it's cheaper if you stay home. We're gonna save money. But, so I stayed home, did nothing for 1 year, and then I applied for a job teaching. I'm like, maybe I'll get a job teaching and I can work like 2 hours a week. And I did. I started working like 2 hours a week, literally. Now I teach a lot, and hopefully my idea is to transition back into a full-time job. Hasn't happened yet. And so in general, and I like this, pretty cool. So this is in German, same thing Karen was talking about. I'm actually, this is kind of you call that collective wisdom? I'm on a Slack group with women in tech, and there's a lot of conversation there, pretty good. So it happens to all of us. I imagine it happened to men too. I'm not a man, but I imagine it happened to men too. Mansplaining and sexual harassment, it happened to a lot of women in this Slack. So they also say it's harder to get a promotion than their male co-workers. Some people work on a promotion document for a whole year and they don't get promoted. And they work again the next year, they don't get promoted. There's a lot of data on that, lower salary. And I don't like this, but I put it there. Are women biological fit to do technical work? From the Google guy. Yeah. Poor guy, I don't like him. Really don't. I don't know. He's bad. And then I think he probably has some problem. Yeah. And this is, the moms, this is what we do, right? Get up at 6, make the lunch, throw the kid at school, just kick them out of the car, and then go to work, go back, pick them up, cook, take them to karate, take them to gymnastics, go to the pool. But I enjoy it, so I don't really care. And this is a quote from Tina Lee. She's the founder of Mother Coders. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. You can read it. Basically, she talks about how hard it is for moms. She has a little startup, a nonprofit, and she teaches moms to code. So she talks about sexism, racism, the age thing, which is also another problem. And motherhood penalty. That we are perceived as being less competent and committed to our careers because we have to pick up the kids from school or something if they get sick. Yeah. So this is what I wanted to talk about. I'm done. Thank you so much for letting me be here, and I appreciate you guys. And we can get out of here. Okay.
Thank you. Awesome. Hi, I'm Ronald Lopez. I'm the Senior Research Analyst at the San Jose Evergreen Community College District. And for my talk, there's kind of three themes I want to focus on. One is who we are as a district. So specifically, what's our mission and who do we serve? Second is the Strong Workforce Program. It's an initiative that was passed by the California State Legislature back last year in 2016. What is it? And what were some of the data needs it created for my district and the rest of the California Community College system? And then the third topic is how pandas and sets were used to meet the demand, and specifically how just having a strong grasp of the basics, you can still produce some amazing reports. Now, about my district. We're a two-campus district, San Jose City College and Evergreen Valley, and we also have a satellite campus at Milpitas High School. Now, what makes a community college different from a four-year institution is our main goal is to provide affordable, lower-level academic courses. That's a fancy way of saying we offer cheap general education courses. In addition to that, we also serve to kind of meet the needs of our of the people that we serve. And in California, especially in these like larger metropolitan areas, we have a large population that doesn't have a strong grasp of English or numeracy. So we offer a lot of basic skills to kind of help those individuals get stronger at those skills. In addition, we also offer vocational training. And then we also offer a lot of self-enrichment courses such as archery, self-defense, and recreational sports. A little bit about our students. In our previous academic year, 2016-2017, we served a little bit over 26,000 students. 43% of those students receive a Board of Governors enrollment fee waiver. That came out to a little bit over $8 million in financial aid, but that's actually an undercount of the need of our students, because for our system, there's a large portion of students that qualified for this fee and other forms of financial aid, but they just simply don't apply for various reasons. A little bit about our demographics. We predominantly serve students of Hispanic and Asian descent. They compose around 60% of our student body. Now, in 2016, the California legislature passed the Strong Workforce Program Initiative. That added an additional $200 million to the state budget and the development and expanding of CTE and vocational programs in our community college system. And there's two reasons behind this. One is California finds itself in a unique problem, is that we have a lot of well-paying jobs that are not being filled because our labor doesn't have the skills to fill those positions. So we're expanding our CT programs statewide so that way employers can fill those empty roles. The second is raise the standard of living for a lot of low-income California residents. On average, people that attend these CT vocational programs saw an increase of 22% in their income within 3 years of completing these programs. But there's a caveat to this legislation. Not for these programs, a third of the funding is tied to the number of certificates and awards they give out. So that created some specific data needs for these programs. Specifically, they needed to know, for their students, what courses they need to take for them to complete that 12-unit certificate, 30-unit certificate, 60-unit certificate. And also, there's a lot of students that take like these random courses and by accident they complete a degree. You might come in as an engineer, but you're a big fan of art. So you might have taken enough courses in art history to receive a certificate in art history. It's an actual thing. It happens a lot. Maybe not for engineering and art history, but similar cases. So now, how did Python come to rescue? Well, that's simple. With pandas and sets. Pandas has a lot of great built-in functions that makes kind of manipulating and analyzing large sets of data really easy. And then sets, I can't say anything else than they kick ass. They've made my life a lot easier. Now I'm going to give a case study or example of how this was done. Evergreen Valley College has a business informational system program. They offer 2 certificates of 30 units, and each one you have to take, I think, 12 specific courses. And the learning outcome for this one, so students that gain these certificates are going to receive a practical working knowledge of industry standard software. That's a fancy way of saying they know how to use Excel, PowerPoint, Microsoft Word, Outlook, and Access. And then they also have to take kind of courses in other departments such as accounting, business, computer, and information technology, and economics. So the first step that I did to kind of produce the report that these programs needed is just to pull as an example, all the courses that our active students have passed in their entire history at our institution. And then also the basic contact information that the departments needed to contact these students to kind of encourage them to take that 1 or 2nd additional class. Okay. I load it up into a data frame, and then I just group them by their contact information, and it's kind of cut off, but the value that's grouping is the course name, and then I also apply the function to make it into a list, because in some IDEs, it will make the object a list, and no, not a list, a string instead of a list. And then I just reset the index of the group by function, and then explicitly say it's a dare frame just to be safe. So the result is just instead of having multiple records for each student just has one record, and all the courses that they've passed is aggregated in one cell. Okay. Now the hard part is to create a set for the requirements of each certificate, and that's just simply just writing down all the courses that are a requirement for that certificate, and then subtracting those sets by the courses that they took. And then I created a new column for each certificate in the report, and the outcome is just, you have two columns now that just list the courses the students have to take to receive the certificate. If it's empty, the only thing that people are going to see is the empty curly brackets. If they start to take an additional course or two, it lists the courses right there. This fancy code that I just showed you just did something that our degree audit system that costs an exorbitant amount of money can't do. And this is something that all the community colleges in California had to deal with. So far, our district is the only one that has a solution for this. It's just because I haven't shared it yet. But if people here want to be consultants, you're more than welcome to reach out to Dan's West Hill, Foothill, and ask them, I got a solution for your CTE programs. Yeah. Now the outcomes. In 2015-2016, we gave out 442 certificates. The following academic year, after we kind of did an initial push to kind of encourage students to take that one or two certificates, we saw an almost 50% increase in certificates. Now, that wasn't, I can't take all credit, I'll probably take 60%, but it was only made possible because we had like a large number of staff and faculty committed to contacting the students, and then also our student services kind of also looking at these students' academic records to see if they also qualify for other certificates. So they came in they walked into student services to get one district. Sometimes they came out with 3 or 4 districts, 4 certificates, because the student services kind of made sure that they wanted to get every single award possible. Yeah. And that's it.
Can you hear me? Yeah. So, technical topic, I don't know how to take it humorous or interesting. I hope I'll see some of the people at the end of 15 minutes. So, my name is Sandhya Devarajan. Now I'm going to talk about how to do a simple web scraping with the Python Beautiful Soup module. I'm going to take you from the very basic step of defining the scraping, what is web scraping, what is Beautiful Soup, its features, and the HTML tags, which is very important here. And at the end, I'll show you a snippet with the output and reason of why to go with the Beautiful Soup and its pros and cons. So let's get started. So what is scraping? Scraping is nothing but shaping or structuring something which is unstructured. So having said that, what is web scraping? So it is something to get the data out from a web page. So it mainly focuses on how we are getting the structured data from an unstructured one and finally storing and analyzing. So The benefits of web scraping are marketing intelligence is an essential thing for a good business practice. So this web scraping and web data extraction will give you the insights and analysis of this information, like pricing analysis, events, popularity, the reputations. So having that, I think it will be a important key for a good business. So we are going to achieve this by using the Beautiful Soup. So Beautiful Soup is one of the interesting libraries in Python, especially for web scraping. It is very easy to use, and newbies, really it is very easy for a newbie programmer, and it normally saves the programmers a day or day of time. So if you see the features of it, it is very simple to use, and you don't have to write much coding. Basic knowledge in coding is fine, and you don't have to think about any encoding, input file, output file. It manages by its own, and we can use even multiprocessing. It's a package in Beautiful Soup. It speeds up the process. So before going to Beautiful Soup or the web scraping, first thing we need to get familiar is with the HTML tags. So if you see on the left side, I have given the very basic HTML tags, how an opening tag will be, how a closing tag will be. So if you see on the right side, there is a table. This is how the HTML tags will be for a table. So there is an open table, and it has a table row. TR stands for table row, and TD stands for table data. So this table row is having 3 data, and there is one more table row which is having another 3 data. So totally this table is having 2 rows with 3 columns. So this is how we can read the HTMLs. So I'm going to take a web page to explore how the HTML is playing on the background. So I'm just right-clicking and going to the inspect to see how the HTML code is there. So if I go to inspect under the elements tab, I can see all the HTML codes. And if you mouse over on the right side on each line, it will show you, it will highlight and show you the corresponding section on the web page. So I'm on the division section, that is a pricing division section. If you see, there is a table opened. The highlighted one is the table. So this table is having a table row. The first one is a table row, which is having, I'm going to expand this HTML table row, which is giving me 2 data. The first price is 1 data, and the second one, the value of the price, is another data. So, and I'm moving down. This is the second row of the table. And in that, if you see, the sale is 1 data, and this value is another data. And we can see this prime. And you can see this prime in a tag I, if you see on the right side, which means I represents an italic. They have applied some styling over there. So, and if you see on the previous one, they have applied a span. Span means it's a styling applied, a group of styling. So they have applied some styling. And if you see, free shipping is in different colors. So again, they have applied some styling over there. And this free 2-day shipping is in bold, so they have used the B tag. And this is the last. And the Amazon Prime, if you see, there is a hyperlink, so that is represented by a tag A. So this is the last row of the table. Here, if you the data is you save, and the value is one more data on the same row. So this is how we can get familiar with the tags. So there are n number of tags to get. So whichever page you're planning to scrape it, just get explore to these tags. So only the tag is the important thing here. This is the crux for web scraping. Once you get familiar with the tags, then scraping the page is just a piece of cake. So this is Amazon page, and I have shown similar for eBay, but here each site's the tagging may differ. They have mentioned this as a table, but here they used to call it like a list. UL stands for unordered list. LI stands for a list. They call it in a different way, but eventually it lands on the same information. So if you see, I'm just going to
going to show a snippet which is based on this page. So here I'm going to display the first product. It is, if you see, it is on the tag of LI, and it has a class name. These are two things important for scraping the web: the tag name and the class and the corresponding class. So if you see, this is the name, title. So it is under H3 tag with the class of LB title. And the second is the price value, which is in the tag of LI with the class name. And this is the item sold, which is in the tag of division with the class name hotness. So here's the snippet. So I'm importing the beautiful soup, and I'm calling the URL here, the eBay website URL. And there are so many functions in the beautiful soup, like find all, find children's. If you say find all of tag A, it will get all the A tags in your web page. So I'm finding all of LI, which is a tag name, and the class, I'm giving the corresponding class name. And first thing I'm printing here is the header H3, which is the name of the product, which is coming under the class this. I'm printing the name, and I'm printing the price here. This is a corresponding tag and the class name for that. And I'm printing the number of items sold, and this is a division and class for that. So you can see this is the output, which we have seen in the image here. So why we are going to beautiful soup is there is one more advanced web scraping library in Python. It's called Scrapy. It's a web spider. Basically, it works asynchronous, and it is very faster compared to beautiful soup, but it has more. It needs more programming experience to use. So beautiful soup is very simple to use, and also it is very fast compared to Scrapy. So that is the reason I'm going to beautiful soup. I'm a newbie in programming, so I prefer beautiful soup for my projects. And even we can go for regular expressions, which is much more easier than beautiful soup. But here we can see some problems, like it is speeder, even it is faster than beautiful soup. But if there is any change in the web page, we need to get down and work on the codes. Sometimes it needs in beautiful soup, but not much. It's better compared to regular expressions. So it burns down to speed versus robustness. So it depends on your project actually. If you want something, if you can write something easily on a regular expression, then go for it. If you want something complex thing and you don't want to touch the code, even the web page changes, then I think beautiful soup is good. Okay, I thank BayPiggies, and I thank Paula for calling me for this talk, and I thank Blith ma'am for because in your meetup I was giving the presentation, so that was my presentation. So I thank you. Yeah.
Is it working? Oh, cool. I'm the last one. Well, my last name starts with Z, so usually I'm the last one anyway. My name is Linda Zhao. I am Director for HPC and Life Sciences at Western Digital. So today I'm talking about different things since you guys have more technical background. Actually, my background, I have a bachelor degree in computer science and engineering. So my early career, I was engineer. If I want to date myself, my first job, I coded on Atari games, Amiga, Commodore 64. Woohoo! So I did compiler and all kinds of stuff. Why I switched? So I hit the ceiling in my early 20s and it's not going anywhere. So I started a company. So I'm from China. Start a company here, not understanding business. That's really fun. So IRS and me, we're friends. So not a good thing. Do not recommend that. But I went through all of that and understand, boy, I need a business degree. So I went to school, went to Carnegie Mellon, got my MBA, and afterwards it's more about business side. Running my business for 4 years, finally understand coding is not the only thing if I want to eat. So, after I got my MBA, I actually was in product management for many years, and then went on because I love to learn. So learning not just technology, doing different roles, learning different techniques. That's really great for me, for my career. So I actually have done the things I listed here. So the first thing I talk about is product management, since I've done it for so many years. With technology background, I think it's really helpful when you talk to your customers, your sales, when they ask for something shiny, they couldn't tell you what is it, it's just shiny. So I'm sure from your day-to-day job, you have run into product managers give you a requirement like you just go, what? What are you thinking? Or they're not thinking. So, because I was also in management role, manage product managers, so I can definitely relate to that. So when you have technology background and you have to work with so many different functions, being a woman is a great thing. We can organize, we can multitask more. But the thing is, you use the soft skills to try to work with different groups. And with your technology background, it really helps you to write the product requirement, making sense to engineers. And when you negotiate with engineers on schedules, on the project release date, or on what feature you can go without or with, your technology background really help you to negotiate and have a long-term relationship. So your engineering director, VP, do not see you as, oh, her again. They actually take you seriously, right? So that's the product management is one of the roles you can go with your technology background. If you like to talk to customers, like to specify the product, actually someone will use it, not just buy it, put in IT somewhere, which someone might use it. That's one career route. The second one, I went into alliances. So that was a company, the software need integration, need other components. So in that case, I took the role. And one thing is in technical alliances, you have to not just understand your own software, right? You have to quickly can read the menu, read the website to understand what company you want to integrate with, why you want to integrate with. So you start to put in more of a business hat, right? Why this versus that? So because I work for pretty big companies, so we have VAR. VAR is a value-added reseller, right? They need to do integration. So you have to work with them to understand how they make money, why they want to work with you, right? So it's more business. And the other thing is, of course, you still have to deal with the third-party software. There are many vendors out there. So from talking to them, you want to find the differentiation. why you work with certain vendors, not the others, how you justify with your management, right? So that is one part you got to deal with. Of course, as in this role, after you do the integration, you have to train your sales, right? Your sales don't know a thing about anything. So give them the word that they can pronounce, they can spell, that will be it, right? So that will be your test. So the second, another role, I was, not that I applied for this, I was put into the marketing, is the company happened to lay off all of the marketing guys and the women. And then they told me, oh, there's a show. It's an international show. There you go. So I got to define, actually told me this is the empty booth. You design the booth, design the sign, the messaging, all of that. So how do I find that? Technology background helps. You have been to the shows and look at their messaging, you just go, what are they trying to sell, right? Because a lot of marketing, they don't have technology background, and they make something make sense to normal people, they can make it not making any sense to anyone. So you have seen that. So in this role, actually, I found with the technology background, you can actually design the sign, speak to the attendees, right? So that was my first one during that show. I have professors, researchers coming in, pointing at the sign saying, how do you do that? I just go, woo, woo, I wrote that. So that is really helping for the marketing role, even you might not connect this to as technology. That is really fun for that show. Then I thought that's it. No, after the show, you have the lead gen, you scan, everyone got scanned before. So you got a scan badge. You have to tell your inside sales who doesn't know anything about your technology. You have to write the script on, oh, if you call the customer or the attendees, here's how you ask questions, right? So I got to write those scripts. And so since they are calling this is technology, so you need to write something making sense when they start the conversation. So that's a really fun one. I never thought I would do marketing. So the last one here is I'm doing the market development. So this is the company started early on this year saying, we decided to go to life sciences. You want me to do it? Okay, it's fun. So I actually took it and took classes. And that's where I learned, I go to Coursera. There's a bioinformatics class you can take. So I go, oh, great, one class, I can take it. Python. So all of the homework, everything is Python. So I learned Python, I passed the class, right? So it's fun. It really helped me. Right now I'm talking to, actually tomorrow I'm going to talk to UCSF professor. So they are doing mammogram research. So using the mammogram to build machine learning to predict cancer and potential cancer. They're collaborating with other researchers in the country. So this is helping me by because I take the class, I can speak the basic stuff when I talk to them. So it's a good learning experience for me. And in this role, I got to decide which area I'm targeting. Do I go to research? Do I go to biobank? Do I go to national labs? Which ones should I go first? Right, so I have to define the go-to-market strategy. So that's the first thing. Second thing is, well, Western Digital is not very well known in life sciences, right? So how do I approach all of my targeted audience and talk to them about this? And of course, we have to generate market awareness. So I have to work with a lot of people on awareness, right, how Western Digital play in this field. So it's a lot of fun thing. I learned a lot in this role. So what works for me is I keep on learning, whether it's technology, whether it's a business, right? It works just because I keep on learning. And as a women, use your soft skills, right? We intuitively we can tell who is better to work with or easier to talk to. And actually, I took a class before. Do just write a network mapping. If you want to get to your VP and your VP don't know your name, so write a map how to get to him, right? Who is his influencer? Who he trusts the most, right? So do that, and that will help you in big corporate. The other thing is you don't have to win all of the battles. Pick the ones it matters to you. You cannot let it go. So I love this picture I took from the internet. Just ask yourself, can I live with it? You can't, stand your ground. Try to use, not just go, oh no, I'm not going to let it go. No, try to figure out how you influence the decision maker, how to get where you go, right? That's the most important. So that's my last one. Thank you.
So it's right at 9 o'clock now. Thanks a lot for the wonderful talks. Those were really inspiring and interesting, and it was just a really amazing night. So I don't know if we want to maybe try to push it, go for like 5 more minutes and do a real quick Q&A if people want to. We'll have all the speakers come up, and if anyone has questions, maybe form a line in the middle, and we'll kind of do one question at a time and do it for like 5 minutes or so. Hopefully they won't kick us out. Does everyone want to come up? So does there anyone have a question? Are we gonna, or you can,
I have a question for the contributing to the open source project. So do you, are there projects that, I mean, do you just volunteer, you just find something that you think would be useful, or are there, you know, like already proposed projects that people can work on?
No, actually you can work in whatever you actually would like to do. So for example, that Write Speak Code group, they host, I think every quarter, they host a open source hours. So there are like 4 or 5 people pitching their projects. Unfortunately, the ones that I have right now, none of them is in Python. But it still is cool to go there if you just know Python, it doesn't matter. So, you know, there's just one app that, that someone came up with, and is more related to like mental health and has been very popular. So she's been able to have a lot of people helping, and basically just, you know, adding features to the app, giving ideas. It can be anything, and that's mostly in Ruby. But then there is another project, there is a JavaScript stuff, there is an AMP, which is also is another project that they pitched there. Recently, there was a project from Mapbox, which is probably JavaScript as well. You know, it's basically, if you follow the link that I mentioned, there are several web pages there, websites that you can, they kind of help you kind of find something that you like. In my case, I do data science, so I tend to prefer to help with, you know, things that I use, but it doesn't need to be at all. It doesn't need to. Whatever you feel like, yeah. Okay.
Have something marked in their tickets, low-hanging fruit, newbie, great first project.
There is a Women Robotics here in Mountain View. They actually have a night like for you just to get started, you know, like how to even get started on anything, and yeah.
Anyone else have questions?
Once again, to the lady who did the thing on the open source stuff. I know Python, but I'm not a programmer. I'm a test engineer. Do they have openings for people who just like to beat on code and keep the developers honest?
Absolutely. Absolutely. See? He said he loves you. Absolutely, yeah.
Anything else? Okay.
Hi, thank you. The talks were really nice. I have question to Karen and Paula, to both of you. So I'm a newbie and I'm looking for jobs in Python, pandas, and all that stuff. I'm recently going through interviews and I'm getting more home interviews, like email interviews or from HackerRank, or like I have to solve challenges in 1 hour or 2 hours, and these are the last rounds, not even the first one. And I just wanted to know that, like, I'm not getting up to that point, so what might be lacking in me and how should I improve that?
I think, oh, the first speaker's not here anymore either, but Maria. But one thing that is, it's not just interviewing I've been going through this right now myself. And it's a long process, and a lot of people complain about it for a reason. It's not something that excites you to, even you may be excited to work for some company, but it's not the process itself. So first of all, don't think that there is something wrong with you necessarily, because it's just, no, it doesn't matter whether you're a junior, if you're a senior, everybody has a hard time with interviews. And then there are various aspects of interviewing. So it depends, of course, on what you're interviewing for. Software engineering is a little bit different than data science. But usually, the first gatekeeper is the recruiter, of course. Once you get past the gatekeeper, oh, no, actually, the first thing is your resume, right? So you need help, seek help. Like just groups, some of the groups I mentioned, a lot of people here, I'm sure. Seek help from people. Hey, could you take a look at my resume? Even your friends, what do you think? Recruiter friends, even better. They can give you a lot of hints on that. Because you need to be able to get their attention. Also, when you talk with people, you have to have a pitch. You have to be able to get their attention. Think about something that, could be, attention grabber. It's not very simple. You have to think about it. And then it has to be very quick, elevator pitch. And then, so your resume, your elevator pitch, and then you apply. And networking is big. Yeah, you can apply online, but most effectively, you're going to go through get interviews through networking, connecting. Ask for help. It's still not guaranteed, but keep persisting on it. And then you have to be prepared for the interviews as well. We always focus on the technical side, but it's not just technical. You also have to focus on the behavior questions. And sometimes you just cannot control. Sometimes it's just like, well, it was not a good match. You may have all the skills and it was just not a good match. So there are a lot of aspects of it. That's my point. So don't think that of yourself. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
They have job counseling and.
Something else that can help with the interviewing process.
Something else that can help with the interviewing process is the use of mock interviews. I mean, if you people in the industry, they know the general questions. We've all been through it. So do mock interviews with your friends. They can tell you where you're lacking. They can tell you where you're shutting down. We all have a point in the interview where we start shutting down. Another thing is if you're doing side-by-side coding or if you're doing whiteboarding, don't go quiet. Keep talking. Let them know what your process is, because even if you're headed in the wrong direction, they can kind of see what's up there. Even if you don't get there, they can tell that it's not empty, right? The minute you shut down, you don't give them anything. So you have to keep You have to keep the feedback going, and you kind of have to learn how to keep that flow going.
So my name is David. There's a great resource for people who are trying to find jobs. It's called the Nova Center. It's in Sunnyvale. Go to novaworks.org. They have free job counseling, workshops on putting together resumes, interview practice. You need it, they got it. They're not terribly oriented towards techies, so they're a little lacking in that department, but otherwise they're a fabulous resource for getting your foot in the door.
Another resource that you might consider, there's a group called C6, C-S-I-X. It's a networking group. Whenever my contracts end, I immediately go back there. It costs like $5. You get lunch. They have a speaker. It's a great way to network. They have a lot of really good information, and if they're still doing it, they'll have at one point a resume review, mock interviews, a whole bunch of other stuff. That is another source that you can consider.
And I was going to vouch for the NovaWorks program. I think there's a regional, I think it's by county, they have different offices, but the one in Sunnyvale here on, the Sunnyvale is the most extensive one. They have a second branch of the NovaWorks. The NovaWorks is training and all that. I'm actually going through it right now, taking a class through Marilenis class right now through NovaWorks. And they have a division called ProMatch, which is, it's probably about 400 people in there. It's all networking, and they do whiteboarding. I've gone to a lot of whiteboarding classes. There's a lot of geeky techie they talk way over my head. But even for like technical product management interviews and stuff, I've taken my questions in there and saying, is this the right approach? Is this the right, how would you approach this? And I've gotten a lot of feedback. So definitely look at NovaWorks also. They pay for training. If you're out of work, they pay up to $6,000 for the year. And if you're on unemployment, they extend your unemployment while you're in training. That's definitely worth looking at. And I have the telephone number if anybody needs it.
I have a question for Linda Zhao. So you worked in the engineering background for like 4 years. I'm at the beginning of my career. I cannot really decide like when to transfer to like management, or like at least that's my goal. Do you think it's better to like start early, or like spend more years in the engineering background to learn more and to understand more the house, or start early?
You mentioned management. You want to be engineering management or product management?
That's different.
Yes. So I've been engineering manager before. So engineering manager, at least for the first level, you're still hands-on, right? So you still need to code. You're everything. You need to do build. You need to do code. You need to review code. Sometimes you have to do more than that because you do have people to manage. So that's the first level for engineering manager, right? If you want to go there, probably you want to do something more like a lead, trying to lead a project, show your management capability, right? Do something, if your company has some special project, you can volunteer for that, so get notice. Because before your manager can promote you, they probably need to ask other managers, right? Are you the leadership type, right? What have you done, right? So that will help you to get notice and prepare for your promotion, right? So that's engineering side of management. And if you want to go product management, that is about talking to customers, right? To get requirements, to be able to write it down clearly for your engineers. So they, and then the other thing is how you negotiate with your engineering management on scheduling, what feature, all of that. So depending on where you want to go. For the product management, since it's more customer facing, so from engineer directly to there, usually you want to go for technical product manager, For bigger company, it has that role. Smaller company, it doesn't have that role. That's the only one, right? So bigger company, if you can go there, they don't, another way you can get there is to be like a technical marketing. So you do demo, you build a demo, right? Because you know your product really well in that case. So they love to have you because you know your product well. So you have advantage over the others they hire outside of the company. So from there, then you can indirectly go into product management.
So the first kind of management is more like you have to be very strong in the like technical skills, right?
Yes.
And the second one is more require business background. What I have to have an MBA to do those.
I have met really good product managers without MBA background. It just for me, when I went for my degree, it's because I had a company. I didn't understand the U.S. business, how it runs. So for me, it's helpful to understand business law, right? A lot of like organizational behavior. So in business school, when my classmate asked me, what do I learn most from the 2-year business school? I said, oh, organizational behavior and the business law. The rest is like, oh, I've done it before, right? So depending on what you're looking for, right? It's not necessary to have an MBA, but if you are completely trying to switch what you do, right? So what it prepared me to do is I'm very geeky. So when I was in Carnegie Mellon, it gave me the opportunity I have 5 majors. When I had MBA, so I have marketing, I have strategy, I have IT management, I have e-commerce management, and I have operation management. So I took so many different things. So those kind of classes I took before, it helped me right now when someone gave me this marketing thing. I go, oh my God, I learned it a while back. So I did have the background to learn what is it, right? So if that is what you want to do, then I do recommend you to go to top MBA schools to get you prepared for it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sure.
So many people trying to break into the industry. I found it one very interesting line that Ronald mentioned in one of his slides was that there's a lot of unmet demand that's out here that your organization is trying to fulfill. So wanted to know exactly, one is Python and Python related courses something that your organization offers, and do the people who want to get into the field with the common interest of Python and all, do they have opportunities out there?
So I do know that that all the community colleges in this area, specifically in this area, do offer an extensive offering in computer science. I do know that a lot of them have tailored their course offerings in computer science for that kind of like working professionals can work on their degree at night and on the weekends. I know that Python is one of the courses that's offered at every single community college in the area, and so is data structures and algorithms. So you definitely can get those skills that you need for these programming jobs at community college.
Any more questions? Well, okay. Well, thanks a lot. It was really wonderful. Thanks, everyone.